Welcome to Global Village. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are very honored to have two great guests, Medicine Hat Police Chief, Chief Andy, son of McGovern. Welcome to the show. And we have our Deputy Fire Chief from Brooks, Mr. Stuart Lucas.
Yes.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Could you please tell us a little bit about your background, Mr. Andy?
Yeah, I grew up actually in a little village called Bath, Ontario, close to Kingston, Ontario, and I moved here actually when I was about 20, joined the police service here in Medicine Hat at 21, began my career here, and I've been here for the last 33 years, and of course experiencing all different types of policing at Medicine Hat, patrol work. I was in K9, I was a tactical team for about 12 years, and moved on into investigations and eventually into the Office of the Chief.
I was reading one of a few profiles that you had on the website, and one of the things strikes me. You mentioned that you are very passionate adding value to others.
Well, yeah, I think in all of our leadership journeys, it comes to a point where it becomes less and less about you and more about the people that you serve, and I think that becomes evident as we get older. I took a master's program through Royal Roads in leadership, and that was all part of that journey, and I guess part of my philosophy really at this stage of my career is really enabling others to do the things that they need to do.
Wow, that's a great, Chief Andy. Mr. Stewart, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, my background is I was born and raised in Northern Ontario. Moved to Manitoba right after I got married, and opportunity afforded itself for me to move to Brooks, Alberta, and I moved there in 2001. The fire chief, Kevin Swanson, approached me and said I would probably make a good firefighter, to which I had tried in years past in Winnipeg to be part of the fire department, and so I thought that was a good idea. I put my application in and was accepted. I worked my way up through the ranks through the years, and I was the position of Deputy Fire Chief came available 2011, and they accepted me, and I became the Deputy Fire Chief, and it's been no looking back since.
There you go, and you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
You had 2013, I believe you guys in Medicine Hat, you had the flood in this area southeast of Alberta.
Yes.
And that was a very big challenge. I was talking to Ron, and it was a very huge effort that you guys did, and well maintained as well.
Yeah, it was 2013 overall was a pretty strenuous year for our service. The thing about the flood event, our role in those types of events are really security and safety. Yeah. So we're just assisting the rest of the community really to ensure safety of the community. And so our role in it was, I guess, minor compared to some of the other work that went on. There was a lot of great work done by municipal works, by all our utilities people. It was quite an amazing thing to watch and see how the team of folks came together and really did a great job kind of serving the community through that event.
And Chief Stewart, you went to also Calgary for that during the flood.
Yeah, well, it was after the flood was done. They had a disaster forum that was in Calgary, and it was a really good learning lesson for us, because we could go in and we could bounce ideas off of each other and learn the lessons learned that happened through the flood. All the way from up in the mountains right down to Medicine Hat here and beyond, how the waters flowed, what people had to do for evacuation and all that good stuff. So there were some really good lessons learned from going to that forum.
Coming from a large province such as Ontario, both of you, especially you come from Ontario when you were 21.
Yes.
20 that age.
Yes.
So you adopted the cowboy here, or you still in Ontario spirit?
So there's parts of me that still miss Ontario, the water and the trees, but I fell in love with Alberta when I came here, and it was really the people. It's a different environment and a different way of thinking. And so, you know, although I miss some of the aspects of Ontario, I still have family there and get there to visit. It's a different kind of a mindset here in Alberta, I think, compared to Ontario or even BC.
Yeah.
And I guess you just grow to become accustomed to it and enjoy it.
There you go. About you? Do you adapt to the Albertan or still have the Ontario connection still?
Well, in Northern Ontario, I'd like to think I was always a little bit of a cowboy. You know, my aunts and uncles had farms with horses and stuff like that. So moving to Alberta here wasn't a huge stretch. I liked Alberta for, in particular, Brooks, the community. I thought the community was very inviting and was very close-knit, and you know, it just was a really enjoyable place to move to, especially moving from a bigger center of Winnipeg to that community for raising my children and stuff like that. It was excellent.
Yeah, but in terms of the province in general, Ontario has a large number of very liberal mindset compared to the overall conservative mindset in Alberta. That's what I meant. There are still places in Ontario, small towns, which very similar to Alberta, but in overall the province is very different. The mindset from the one in Alberta.
For sure.
Yeah. How would you encourage minorities to join, for example, the police force, or what would someone has to do if they want to join the police force in Medicine Hat and serve the community?
Yeah, well, I really show interest through volunteering. You know, get to be known. We don't have a lot of people that apply with different backgrounds, and we encourage it. I mean, we want to be as diverse as possible, and quite frankly, we're not. So we would very much encourage more diversity in our police service, and that includes females. We don't have the number of females that I wish we would. So we are really mostly white males for the most part, and I don't think it's really reflective of our community. So I would encourage people that are interested to come down. We have an auxiliary program that they could join, volunteer through a victim assistance and all that kind of. There's lots of different ways to just kind of come down and go out for a ride along, see if it's something that they would enjoy. And I know there's cultural issues and such, but I know that we would be very, we would invite some diversity for sure.
But when you say woman, is that means lack of interest from the participation of the woman, or because of you're not reaching enough to them?
Well, you know, I guess I don't know which it is. I know that that we don't get a lot of female applicants, as many as we'd like. Okay. So if I don't know if we're not inviting enough. Like, is it the chicken or the egg, or is it just a career that doesn't, I guess, maybe interest a lot of ladies? I'm not sure which it is. We have some great female officers. We just don't have enough.
Okay, no, that's very true indeed. And I think we had Medicine Hat Mayor Ted, the new mayor, last month, and he definitely echoed and mentioned the same thing what you mentioned, having difficulty of the diverse, even though they are open inviting everyone, but they are not there where they should be.
Yes.
And at least that's you mentioning that on the show. I think those people who are listening probably will have a reason to come forward and.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, you can have both ways, not coming volunteer and joining and then start complaining that minority is not acceptable in this white dominant society.
Yes.
But if you're not coming forward, volunteering, and then be part of the community, nobody's going to come and knock your door. I don't think that Chief Andy will come and knock your door. I don't think so.
Well, you know, if we try to get to events, different cultural events when we're invited, and try to be, I guess, become a little more known, and so people are not fearful of us. Our role is very different in Canada, I think, compared to police services and perhaps some of the other countries. So you know, it's really establishing some level of comfort with folks as well.
What about the First Nations? First
Nations, again, as you know, we don't have a a lot of First Nations folks in this immediate area. We don't
Okay.
have like a reserve close.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of population in relation to natives either. But again, we have a couple of our folks that have some background, and but for the most part, again, we invite all folks.
Chief Stewart, Brooks being a very diverse community and county of New and having different language, would that make you challenge for the fire department when they respond to places where there is newcomers?
It can be challenging sometimes. I've been on calls where the language barrier tends to be a little bit of an issue. We do work very hard, though, to try and break through those barriers as best as we can. Mm-hmm. I think our partnership with the RCMP as well, when we have situations like that, really help us out. So it's a really win-win when they're there to give us a hand as well. I think as a fire department, we are very diverse, though. We do have quite a few different cultures that are within our fire department. We pride ourselves right now of having 3 females on our fire department, which is the best that we've had in since I think our first female was back in 2004. So
wow.
we're very pleased with that, and they're really good, hard, go-getting, good workers for us. And for the diversity within the department, we have Sudanese, Chinese, British, Scottish, German. We have quite the mixture of different cultures within our department.
Wow,
So,
that's
yeah.
I have to take some lessons from Stuart here.
Yeah.
there
Well,
you go.
actually, it's probably our fire chief that does most of that. He does a really good job of recruiting and getting out there. Not that I don't do that. We work very hard with the Immigration Service in Brooks. I've done education lessons with them, explained to them as they come in that they can be volunteers on our fire department, and there has been interest come back that way and stuff like that. So.
No, that is we have a lot of good charitable organizations in Brooks, but the question that the notion that if there is a oil close to the stove or maybe in the immediate vicinity in the kitchen,
Right.
The intent of the people mostly they threw a water into the oil.
Onto the oil, yes. Yes.
I was talking to Chief Kevin Swanson some time back, and he was explaining to us at GPS some time back. So, would you want to just enlighten that one?
Yeah, that's and it's probably a cultural thing. Like in Canada, we have deep fryers that we can put our oil in, and it keeps things safe. They're controlled temperatures, and we don't tend to have accidents with them. But depending on what the culture is, they're used to using just frying pans on the stove with the oil in there, and unfortunately sometimes things get away from them when they put a piece of wet meat in that frying pan, and it splatters, and all of a sudden we have a kitchen fire going rather than just just trying to cook a nice leisurely meal. We work very hard with talking with those different cultures and communities and telling them that we want to first remove the heat. We want to shut the stove off if we can. If there is a fire there, we cover it over with a blanket, or we have a fire extinguisher that's a chemical style fire extinguisher, not water. And the very last thing we ever do is we never throw water on top of a grease fire because it spreads. So it's a really it's an education thing, and I think we're working very hard to do that. Last year during Fire Prevention Week, that was our basis, right? Stop kitchen fires, and there was a whole lot of education on that, with going to the schools and stuff and teaching the kids at that level first, and then having parents come in and chat with them. So.
Wow, Chief Andy, I'm sure you have a lot of diversity when you look at English and Scottish and all that within your command center. What about you have the Medicine Hat police, and then you have the other police in town, or just Medicine Hat police will take care of the ticketing and all that stuff?
We have a bylaw enforcement unit, and of course in our police service. We also work in an integrated unit with actually the RCMP, and we basically do our drug enforcement and such in the region, right? So that does include Tom's area in Brooks and Medicine Hat. And so we have 5 RCMP members embedded in our service. So we have a mixture of different folks that come together.
And the bylaw officers, would they be able to issue ticket, or is it same as the police officers you have in your command? What's the difference between them?
So bylaw officers, they don't have criminal code powers, so they can't arrest somebody under the criminal code unless they use the same powers that any citizen would have to arrest. But they can issue tickets, provincial tickets, and municipal bylaw offenses. So, we have them working on their priority are things like responsible pet ownership and property standards, so that properties are kept to a certain standard, and so they're the types of issues that they work on. Of course, in the middle of the winter, they're busy with snow on the sidewalks and things that they seem trivial to folks, but they're also. I found that municipal bylaws are very emotional for people, and I think sometimes our community standard, we could almost judge it on how well we look after probably some of those small details.
Yeah, and that's true. So the fact that they can issue tickets and all that stuff, would that include also the noise, for example, if your neighbor is playing music at night or daytime?
Yes, so we have a noise bylaw. It so happens that usually our police officers deal with that bylaw because they're the ones that are kind of going into those, the noisy parties in the middle of the night. But it is a municipal bylaw offense.
Oh, it's part of the municipal bylaw.
Yes, and it comes down to, really a lot of bylaws are put in place, and they're really they're good manners. Respecting your neighbors by picking up your dog feces, by keeping your yard clean, by keeping your stereo down so you're not interfering with the enjoyment of other folks when they're trying to live their life. So, like I said, bylaws sometimes seem minor, but they're very important.
What about the number of the criminal activities compared to 2012, 2013? What is it decreasing in Medicine Hat or increasing, or what's your?
It decreased in Medicine Hat in the last year, and it's actually there's been I think the last few years there's been a decline in criminal activity, and we can always theorize about why that is, and we want to say it's because of effective policing, but I think there's a number of reasons at play, but we're always working at a proactive approach to crime as well, and one of the big things that we did is we put a priority street crimes unit in that. So we kind of embedded them between the major crime and the stuff that our patrol guys deal with, and they kind of deal with all that, that mid-range criminal stuff like serial garage break-and enters, and the other thing that we're doing is offender accountability. So we're actually going to folks' homes at night and knocking on their door if they're released on conditions of curfews and just to abstain from alcohol or drugs, whatever the conditions may be. Before we had this unit, if we happened upon those people breaching their conditions, we deal with them. Now we're actively seeking them out, and so a lot of our offenders know this, and because of that, they're not breaching those conditions, which really equates at the end of the day to enhanced community safety.
That's a very good approach.
And of course then decrease of crime.
Wow, that's a very good approach, and that's something to commend the police force in Medicine Hat. When was the fire department was established in Brooks?
As a matter of fact, Brooks last year just had their 100th birthday for the Brooks Fire Department. So we're 101 years old this year, and we've come a long ways from one single truck and a few guys to 32 volunteers, a fire chief and a deputy chief now. So.
And you also respond the county if there's any fire?
Yeah, we respond within divisions 5 and 10 of the county, and then of course if any of the other surrounding communities are looking for mutual aid, we definitely come and we help them. We are the biggest player within the county of Newell, and we have the resources to come and help if we need to.
And I believe your last track was the track that we came attended, that the one that you were showcasing last month, I believe, for the cow or...
the horse trailer, yes. We're very grateful to our community suppliers and Kevin and I were really surprised when the Equine Foundation of Alberta approached us last fall and said, hey, we have this livestock trailer that we'd like to donate to you guys. And you know, it's an initiative the province had brought out just a couple years prior, and Dunmore and Medicine Hat here are fortunate enough to have one of those livestock trailers in their area here. And you know, we looked at it and said, boy, that would be a really good thing for the city of Brooks. So when the Equine Foundation came in last fall and said, hey, we have a trailer we'd like to donate to you, we thought that was great. But of course, our work wasn't done there yet, and thankfully for the support of the city of Brooks and I guess county, because JBS is in there as well. With their support, we were able to get all the tools that we needed to fill that trailer up, and we're now fully equipped and ready to go if a Cattleiner were to roll over. And there's a whole lot of time saving involved with that now that we have it within our facility, rather than getting to a scene, assessing a scene, saying we need this stuff and then waiting for it. There's just a whole lot of time delay with that. And of course, the sooner you can get the animals out of the trailer, the better chance they have of survival. So
Wow,
it helps us out greatly.
No, and we are very glad to see that
Yes.
showcase. It was a great. Chief Andy, what do you think, in your own opinion, that the advantage of diverse population in the 21st century, what are the advantages of having diverse population, like the one in Ontario, Quebec, or other places, Brooks? Medicine Hat have a little bit small, but maybe in the near future you might have a very diverse population.
Yeah.
But what are the advantages, you think?
Well, I think it just adds to the flavor of the community to have different perspectives and different cultures. I remember, you know, in Ontario, going to festivals that had all the different cultures coming out, and you'd sample their food and their customs, and I kind of miss that, actually. So, you know, I think it just adds to the richness of any community to have a diverse population, and just add to the overall feeling in a community. So I think it's very important, and I think we're getting there. We're getting some different communities in town now. It really was quite, when I first moved here in '79, I think our population was about 36,000 or something, so we've almost doubled. And there's quite a difference now compared to then. I remember they used to have radio shows in German. When I first came here, there's a very strong German community. There still is, but I think it's much more diverse now.
Yeah, I was in Calgary. I was invited by a group of people to give them presentation, and I walk in there and have all white, blue eyes, and I introduced myself and I said, my name is Ahmed Kassem. I was born in Guelph, Ontario. And they just look at me like, excuse me? And I said, no, I was just joking. I came to Canada through Ontario, but I was not born in Guelph. Yeah. And then I was just trying to make the point. But the fact that and I was in Ontario for a long time. I used to be in beautiful Island Airport. I used to work in Island Airport, which is just across the that lake. Now has the Air Ontario and other small aircraft fly out from that airport to New Jersey, New York, and New York area. And I believe they still do. It's very beautiful, but it is. We are on the right path, but we haven't reached yet.
No.
Similar to Ontario or BC or Manitoba, I believe, has also a very diverse population.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think, in your own opinion, Stuart, the importance of diverse population advantage?
I think we learned how each culture works. In a lot of ways, I've learned how different thought patterns come about, because people from different communities really they have a different thought and a different mindset on how they do certain things. And I think that's the biggest learning curve that we have to do, is we have to learn to try and be accommodating to them as much as possible. So.
Wow, that's great, Chief Stuart. What do you think you would think that the community of Medicine Hat can help, for example, the police? What would you like to see the community in Medicine Hat to come forward, either policing, volunteering, or other issues in 2014 priorities? What do you think?
For priorities for 2014, you know, I'm glad you asked that question, because right now we're in the last couple days of our survey that went out to the community, that everybody has an opportunity to go online and answer the survey. So we can get feedback from the community about what they think our priorities should be. So we're starting with the survey and then getting into our planning stage after that and some community consultation. So in 14, we know we have some financial restraints, probably that we've never had before in recent history. So I don't think growth is much of an option. So we have to basically take what we have and kind of re-engineer it. And I think we always have the same issues. Road safety is a big issue for people,
Yeah.
and I don't think that we'll see that change much. You know, obviously, you know, crime prevention efforts, all of our efforts to reduce crime and prevent crime, which sometimes, you know, we always think of crime prevention, and we're in the schools, we're doing all those things, and it's also dealing with the bad guys, right? And that's crime prevention.
Yeah.
So, you know, we continually try to reinvent ourselves to become more effective there in every area. So yeah, we're in the planning stages for 15, 16 actually, and looking forward to hearing the results from the community. And I don't know when this will be aired, but if it's aired before the end of the month, I'd love to have people get on the computer and fill out that survey. They can find it on our website.
Well, and I'm sure that having effective policing in Medicine Hat might help also Alison Redford government to chip in some money for the cause.
Yes, absolutely.
Stuart, what do you think the community in Brooks and County of Newell, you think that might be helpful to the cause?
Well, I think our priorities are education. Educate our, you know, right from our kindergarten kids right through to even our senior citizens. Kevin and myself work very hard at that every year, making a point to going to even senior homes, right, and teaching fire extinguisher training to them to some degree and stuff like that. So I think education goes a long way in prevention, and if people know how to prevent something from happening, hopefully it never happens.
Well, you couldn't say more. Thank you very much, both of you, and I'd like to take this opportunity and thank both of you and your police officers colleague for the wonderful job that you maintain the safety of the community in Medicine Hat and both Brooks and County of Newell. You're sacrificing your life to prevent things and make safe in our community. So that's a very noble thing to do.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you for having
Chief,
me.
and thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you. This is the end of Global Village for the day, and we hope you will join us next time to Global Village Show. This is where the East meets the West. Thank you, and God bless you.